The 60s brought us that Motown thing, while the 70s blew our funkin' minds, G. They hit it on the one, baby. But it was something very special about the 80s. I mean, the 80s had it all. Pop, punk, funk, rock, soul. And then came one of the most influential styles of music known to man. Hip-hop, boy. That's right. Hip-hop birthed greats like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, to LL Cool J, Run DMC, Eric B. Rakim, and many more. Oh, and let's not forget the prolifical Hall of Famers, Public Enemy. That's right, the 80s had it poppin'. The 80s was the place to be. Everything was popcorn love. Speaking of popcorn, New Edition had just hit the scene out of Boston, which gave hope to young cats in the ghettos all over the world. And one place in particular, Cincinnati, Ohio. This T.ROB, and this is a story about 5 young men who started something so powerful that top music execs were bidding over them. Cities were buzzing about them. They turned A-list artists into fans and got the record deal they so desired. But little did they know, the triumph brought defeat. This is T.ROB, and I present to you T.ROB, the Quiet Giant, a cold premiere story. We just wanted the world to see cold premiere, man.
He kind of acts like a kid around my friends. Like, he's a really good dad. He's a really caring man, and like he goes through a lot, but he doesn't let that like affect how he acts towards people. And he always has priorities, right? Like he puts his kids first.
She got a beautiful voice.
Yeah, she does.
She always had. Skylar used to be, when Skylar was a kid, Skylar used to freestyle, rap and sing, and then she would write her songs when she taking baths. That's how she would come up with her songs. And she had this one song. What was it, Skylar?
I'm lost, but I can't go anywhere. But now I'm found and I don't want to go. And it feels like I'm going around and around. Round and around like a roller coaster. Round and around and around. I'm going round and around. I'm going round and around like a roller coaster.
I think that my dad is fantastic. He's very compassionate, very kind, and he works hard. You know, every parent makes mistakes, but he learns from them, and he tries to be the best parent he can.
She love you too, bro.
T.ROB's beginnings. The 70s was like the melting pot for everything, especially music. Bootsy Collins, Catfish, and T.ROB's dad, Frankie Cash Waddy, was bringing that Cincy style to the world. Meanwhile, there was a little kid living at 1818 Ray Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, known as Over the Rhine. This kid was T.ROB. Unfortunately, during those times, a lot of black families were missing the father in their homes. And in my man T.ROB's case, this would play both the gift and the curse.
My name is Frankie Cash Waddy, T.ROB's dad. He was his mom's partner. She used to dress him up, make him look just like me. It used to blow my mind. You know, he'd be like this, but he'd have on my outfit, my boots, my hairstyle, and all that. And what she did was she automatically made him her partner, her little partner. So he helped the kids, he helped raise his little brothers and sisters, he helped take, you know what I mean? You know, and so it was like a given for him to be an overseer.
I'm Frank Robinson, his brother, his little brother. And we were like twins.
I'm Brent, I'm T.ROB, Tony Robinson, little brother, the baby boy. Shit, Tony was the type that everybody looked up to. I looked up to him as a father because, my father went around, so he was like a father to me.
I gotta say he was about 7. And we actually was
was crazy. We had a band. He was the drummer. I played the guitar. So around 7, I really wasn't into it though, but he's my bigger brother, so I went along with it. You know what I'm saying?
Tony Robinson's little sister. We stayed in motels. We were little kids. My brother was in a group called Cold Premier. And they used to always sing the rendition song, Count Me Out. It was him, James, Marcus, Shay. My brother had a box, kid and play box.
You know, I was excited. You know, the fact that my sister, you know, got a little boy. And then me and my sister, we got into it because I wanted to hold him. No, that's my nephew, I want to hold him. And so we got into a little confrontation over me holding my nephew.
Well, first of all, he's my nephew. And he was my first nephew, firstborn nephew, right? I'm a family of 10, right? The Robinsons, you know, it's 10 of us, you know? And he's the first nephew. So that first of all stood out, right? So much love we gave him. You know, being the only one, he gonna be well loved, right? Okay, yeah.
A nephew, that's my first nephew. You know, it's like amazing. This guy, he ain't nothing but like, actually, roughly probably like about 6 or 7 years younger than me. So it was really not like my nephew, it was more like my brother, because my older sister was so older than me to where, man, she had me like I was her son.
Well, man, I'm real excited, you know, to have my first nephew, you know, of the family born, and to make me an uncle, you know what I mean? I wasn't a father or anything, I was just a brother. So, you know, I'm real happy and excited to see him come in this world, you know. Something real nice for me. Made me feel like an adult did, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He mostly hung with me a lot, you know. He hung around me a lot, you know. So I had to, everywhere I went, he had to come with me, you know. Anytime I leave, go to play anything, it'd be like, hey, you know, take him with you, you know. I had to have him right on my back, whatever, like, you know what I'm saying?
Didn't matter what the weather was, Tony wanted to go with us. In the rain and sleet, Tony was with us. In the wintertime, we went up in Clifton, there's this park on Vine Street, Inwood Park. Keep off the ice. Tony don't get on the ice, we gonna get on the ice, Tony get on the ice. Tony sinks to his waist. Man, me and his uncle say we gonna get in trouble.
Next thing I know, I see Tony going up under the water. I had to grab my hand, put my hand in, grab him up out of the water. He froze, I put him on my back, walked all the way from Vine Hill, all the way down to McMicken with him on my back, frozen.
This boy pants froze all the way home. We said we in trouble.
I had to stand up by them big old stoves, you know, they had them big space heater stoves back then. I had to stand right there until he thawed out to get him off my back. I get in trouble for that. I'm like, man.
We hang, you know, we skipping school, you know, and we down at like the unemployment office. And Tony, he running from the security guard, and like, it was a glass door. It was a glass door. But Tony went through the window part, not the door part. He just went through the window part, like straight through the window. Tony had a lot of hair. He had a big old afro.
Like how big was the afro again?
Afro
That like
big,
that? Okay.
Real big afro.
Tony, watch out, watch out. Keep turning around and say, man, what you talking about? What you talking about? And I looked up, he flew straight through this big old window. I mean, it was a huge window. I don't know if y'all remember the unemployment office, but that window right there, right in the front. And I don't know how he ran through that building. I thought his head was gonna get cut off. I was scared, my heart was pumping. I'm like, man, is you crazy? He just got up and ran. And I'm standing there like, what the heck?
When he went through he didn't even know he went through the window. He go through the window, he got glass, everything, all in his hair.
Oh, the feeling of the bingos, oh, them was the days right there. Like, you can't call it like, he had like teams like from like different neighborhoods coming to play us in football. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like he almost thought he had like a real team. Used to sponsor, had people like sponsor us, giving us free food and all that little type of stuff. He always make things happen though. He always have. When he say he gonna make something happen, usually make it happen.
I'm saying go to work, be reliable, dependable, and work hard. And Tony showed me that at an early age himself, because Tony left Cincinnati and he had a goal, and he has accomplished his goal.
We used to do a lot of things on Saturdays. We used to be excited about getting up in the morning, selling shopping bags. All of us used to get together, and it was a big thing. We used to try to rush and see who would be the first one there. So you could tell he was aggressive and he wanted to do his thing, because sometimes he'd get up early than everybody else. You get to the market and he there. Be like, man, how long you been here? So we had to get up even earlier. And then I started setting up stands on the market. Then turn around, here he go. He done beat me to the punch again. I was like, man, I'm about to start giving my thoughts to myself.
Kango boy. Okay, I was like the general. Tony was like the captain. It was a whole lot of captains. Tony was the main captain. I was the general because I was the oldest.
I met him I guess we was like 12 years old back then, 12, 13, somewhere around in there. Coming out of a little corner store, he caught me coming out and said, "What's up, man?" I said, "What's up?" He was like, "Man, a lot of people be hating on you, because you be good and polo down. I just want to say what's up." From there the conversation went on. We went up to a dude named Tweedberg house, which was his friend. He introduced me. His name was Tony Hill. I'm Tony C. He Tony Bob. All Tonys.
Tony the one who started, but I think it was Tony that got Tweety Bird and T.ROB, a couple other guys. They're the main ones I knew though. You know what I'm saying? Tony, I think Tony was a captain or something. I don't know. They the ones started and all that little type stuff. And from there on, Kango Boys, I think it was from 3 or 4, and then from there, it went like to a big old group. Next thing you know, they got the Hugger Bunch, the Wild Boys. It's like Tony started everything like I say. Like I was saying about the football Philly market thing, when he starts something, everybody else tried to get cut in with it too. Like, okay, we gotta have this right here. So he was always on his, on his game type stuff.
That's a Kango boy. Tony the leader of the Kango boy,
The police, they said we was a gang. We wasn't no gang. We was a dancing group. Party, that's all we did.
Oh yeah, he knew about the streets. Like, people didn't look at him like that, but he knew about the streets though.
The way we met was, I used to run the game. T.ROB used to run the game. He was from the same hood, so he was crossing my path. You know what I mean? We caught their game crossing our path.
We was in the West End. We was down on Finley Street, and they had this crew, it was called Top Lot Gang.
So we wanted to, beat them up. Back in the day, nobody carried no guns, no knives. So we wanted to fight the guys. So T.ROB was the cat and his crew that talked us out of the fight.
And man, there was about 50 of those guys, man. And he told us to go ahead and just keep marching. And he preached to those guys, and we was friends for life.
And me and T.ROB just came real tight after that. And he been my man 50 grand ever since. The thing about T.ROB that made him stand out, his grind was much more harder than everybody else's. You know what I mean? I don't know nobody else that really grind as hard as he grind. That's one thing I noticed about him was his hustle.
He had a calling. He left for a reason. That child didn't just pick up and leave here. He left for a reason. That baby had a calling. Not call him a baby because that's the last relationship that me and Tony had. He was such a young man when he left.
He turned into me and blew my mind. And it blew my mind until I realized that there wasn't any other recourse. I mean, he was me.
When I first met T.ROB, we was like in elementary, man. We was like, I was in the 5th, he was in the 6th. We was walking home from school, we was going to Cape, Crusaders.
and my cousin was walking, and my cousin, we was getting into it, you know, and then T.ROB just showed up and started like capping on him. And it was clowning, but I thought the shit was so funny, man. I went to the house, you know, and after that I started seeing him more in school, you know, and we happened to have an interest in music. So, you know, we was in the band, school band, and we just clicked from there, man, ever since.
Tony and I went to school together, watching him in the hallways, thinking like, oh, that's a fine young classmate right there. But, you know, I never would talk to him. I just think he was really cute. We were doing this Thriller project. Like, this is when the Thriller came out. And Tony could really dance, and he could sing. So it's like the one part on Thriller where, you know, where Michael Jackson would do the, you know, I couldn't get that for anything. So Tony was like, here, come on, let's do it. So we sat there and we laughed and we joked, and I finally got the, you know, the choreography of Thriller. And that's where we got our start, our kick.
I met T.ROB, like I said, at Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education. So, and I ran into T.ROB, and he asked me, he said, hey man, he said, I want you to do the talent show with me. I said, well, what song are we gonna do? He said, well, we're gonna do Cool It Now. We bumped heads because we both wanted to do Ralph's part.
Everybody saying silly things without knowing that life brings a change.
The New Edition, that's what's
Mr. Academic, Mr. Tap Dancer, Mr. Dance, pop lock, and felt my butt one day. He did like this. He knew my running skills, but he wasn't aware of my running skills, so of course I caught and beat his ass. Can I say that on camera?
Bridges' first performance at Mount Healthy High School Talent Show. Horrible. Tony's mind, all he saw was he was killing it. In my mind, I saw a train wreck. Every direction. Tony on the lead. Tony was out there spinning and singing. If I could blink myself out the picture while it was happening, I would have been at home somewhere. That's how bad it was. I didn't even want to walk past anybody, man. I was like, I went to these doors that I was hoping wouldn't be chain locked, because I knew them doors were gonna lead outside the other way. Man, they laughed at us so hard. The band wasn't that good at all. My cousin on this beat machine that he wore around his neck, it had no bottom, it was all highs. All you heard was it was horrible, man. They ain't boo us, but we was the comedy show for the show, man. We was just horrible. And you know what's so crazy, man? It's like T.ROB, he ain't even see that. He ain't even care.
Rough, you hear me? Down the way. That old song, Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City. That's where we at. We're in the heart of it all. And I mean, it was rough. You know, you got alleys with dope fiends shooting up dope. You can get anything you need, you know, pills, weed, heroin, coke, whatever you need is in one of them alleys in that hood, you know what I mean? So it was definitely rough growing up down there. That's where you see all the broken glass, or, you know, one day they got somebody that bring out one of the old buildings, don't nobody live in, it's condemned. It was rough down there, you know, it's rough now, you know, it's the heart of the city.
Yeah, he definitely knew about the streets. People didn't look at him like that, but he knew about the streets, though.
Got 100 Kano boys out there, you know what I mean? And we all had rank, you know, everybody had to follow their rank, you know, captain, major, lieutenant. And then we had privates that marched behind us, be 40 or 50 of them. Yeah, he man, ran into an incident one day. We hanging out, going to a party. We ran into a dude that was known for, you know, knocking people out, what we call put them to sleep. You know what I mean? You know, he was known for that one shot. You know, give him the pillow. But, you know, he want to, you know, come boxing on, you know, I always been a little dude, 110, 120, you know, but with heart. But, you know, Tone always had a nice size, so he come back there boxing on them, both of us. So Tone like, nah, let me get here, man. I'm like, no, this is such and such, bro. He's like, man, I got it. They got the going. You know, the boy showed me had skills. I ain't even, he pretty boy laid back, but man, this dude who I'm talking about used to put him to sleep. You know what I mean? He could have put him to sleep. You know what I mean? They was going hard like that, but Tone got the best of it. You know what I mean? Would let me know don't sleep on him. You run up on him if you want to, because dude who he was going with is known to break your face. You hear me? Like crack all this. He used to bust fire extinguisher with his hand. You know what I mean? This dude was the real deal. So yeah, Tone, you know, he's a sleeper, but he good with his hands. You know, you run up on him, he'll surprise you.
I really wasn't a Kango boy. My oldest brother was, because at that particular time around that's when I really started getting into my music and with my other little group. You know, and T.ROB was just being a kid out of high school, or, you know, a high school kid, basically. He always used to come secretly and talk to me about music because he didn't want everybody to know that he liked to do music. He didn't want the friends, the company that he was around, to think that, you know, he was soft.
Yeah, we went through some changes, man. I was hating that nigga, man. I was like, this nigga right here. You know, sometimes you be around the wrong people, the wrong situation, you know what I mean? But, you know, to be out and about, you know, when he disappeared, yeah, I'm downtown, nigga, you should come down here, man. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Because I know when we get down there, you're going to be over here. You know what I mean? And we ain't going to be able to keep up with that.
And we grew up downtown, over the Rhine. Growing up in over the Rhine is rough, man. It's real rough. I had a hard time growing up down there, you know. I mean, it got its ups and downs, you know, its positives and its negatives.
Alton Coleman and Deborah Brown, serial killers that came into our neighborhood and just took over. We couldn't go outside and play anymore because there was a serial killer in Over the Rhine. Can you imagine that? In Over the Rhine?
You see how it is down here. It's reckless.
The man that we found on Elder Street across from AMP in Over the Rhine, hanging from a light fixture. These are not stories that I'm making up. You can actually Google this.
It's a hard job growing up downtown, man. It really is.
Absolutely. Down in the hole, down in the ghetto, down here, downtown. Yeah, I took him all around. I sure did.
A lot of the family members looked up to him growing up, man. T.ROB was something I looked into, like, that's because, you know what I mean? And then in between doing this, doing the dances, the New Edition thing, and playing, he was always into a musical thing, man, and that was pretty slick for him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's basically like when it started, like when he was in the 6th grade. His talent and everything just started coming out. He started writing, you know. I remember his first song, you know, it was a little Chinese kid in the neighborhood, you know. And Tone, he wrote a song about the little Chinese boy in the neighborhood, because we in the hood. No, ain't no Chinese people in the hood, but Tone made a song like Cincinnati little Chinese boy, you know. And hey, it sounded good.
I was probably 6, 7 years old. We stayed in one terrace.
I've been dogging T.ROB like all my life, really. We grew up in Wood Terrace. I was a young boy, and you know, that was my cat.
Me and Tony T.ROB, we met in when we were probably 3rd, 4th grade. We were both going to Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education, and Cape was like a charter school back when charter schools weren't even really heard of. Might have been one of the first, you know, in Cincinnati area. So it was a small group, parts of the city. T.ROB was from downtown. I was from a community called Fair Apartments, and you know, basically same neighborhood, same place. You know, low income, you know, struggling, grinding, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's funny. My first recollection really of T.ROB was back in those days. And I'll never forget, it was probably, we had to be about maybe the 6th grade. And we were at we went on a field trip. And I don't remember where we were, music hall, somewhere downtown, something like that. We were on a field trip. And there was a piano there. So all the cats, all the guys, we sitting there. And Tony sees this piano. Now nobody knew that Tony could play. You know, at least I did. I don't know about everybody else, but at least I did. Tony walks over to this piano, and I remember sitting there thinking, where's he going, what's he doing? Sits down at this piano and just starts playing and singing. Of course, dude's looking like, what the hell is this cat doing? All the girls are like, wow. Next thing you know, he's over there singing, playing. That was really the first time I had seen anything as far as musically and being musically inclined about T.ROB.
Well, you know, he always been the leader. You know, one thing about it, you know, we didn't talk to each other for a minute when he was down, you know, in the city and I was out in the burbs. But when we came back together, it's like we never missed a beat, you know. He was down there getting inspired by something, calls me out in the burbs. He says, hey, man, I'm telling you,
I got this idea, man. T.ROB always known for this. Hey, man, I got this cold idea, man. I'm telling you, bro. Man, okay, check it out. The song and dance. And that's when New Edition was popping. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to put my instrument down, but I knew we was expanding. You know, our territory was broadening. And sometimes change is, some people fear change, you know what I'm saying? For myself, I said, let's get it. I tried it, you know. So everything that was coming out of T.ROB from his influences again in the city came into that group. And that's when we formed the Fellas. You know, we were the fellas, you know, that is the energy, man. It just worked, man. Everywhere. We were so serious, man. We would isolate ourselves, man, and have practice camps in T.ROB's garage out Forest Park when his folks moved out there. And we'd be out there the whole weekend, man, rehearsing dance steps and study groups, looking at videos. You see how he turned? You see how he moved his leg, and your leg got to be like this, Tez. You know, and at the time I had my cousin DJ and another friend of ours, Ron Jenkins, you know, and he'd be like, Ron, your leg got to be like this, your arm got to be like, he was always conducting. And then we would get it, and we get into it, man, but it comes with it. But at the end of the day, the only thing that mattered is what came across on stage. You know what I mean? And we knew that was, you know, Tony influencing that a lot, man. You know, when he came, was like really there, man, we brought out some elements in each other, man, that was like nobody was doing, nobody was thinking. It kept us ahead of everybody, you know, and that was T.ROB. Man, that nigga wanted to be New Edition. If he could be all four of them, if he could clone himself, he would have been all of them. He wanted us to dress like him. He wanted us to move and act and talk like him. I used to go heads up about that, man. Until we did audition, shout me out. And the way the crowd responded, man, that was a whole nother level of adrenaline. So it made me say, oh, it's something to this, man. Because I was loving the attention.
So tender. But he was step out. We knew he was going to do that. You know, it was going to be what he was going to do. That's, again, it was his passion. So I think it was, everybody kind of knew that's where he would go to. Surprise, but amazing. Right.
So many talent shows around, like the Woodward Bomb Show.
We was performing everywhere. We were so serious, man. It turned up so much more, man. You know, the ideas, from the dance routines to the song we was gonna pick, to do dance routines too for that show, to even the fashion, the wardrobe, you know, what we was gonna wear for the show.
T.ROB was that way, you know, he instilled that in me as a youngster. You know, T.ROB was the type of guy that if he saw a glimmer of talent, you know, he was thinking Billboard. You know, he was thinking, you know, top of the charts. And he was real good with the penmanship, and he was real good with choreography.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. And it was like, it's just hard to really explain, but energy was super crazy. And what a time, what a wonderful time. It was crazy, man. Every morning, he always in the mirror and picking himself up. I'll be driving down, driving at 2 in the morning. I remember one time we was driving, I almost hit a car. He called slap me. Hey, slap me like. It was funny, man. We always laugh about that. It was funny, man. But,
Go, Chris. When we saw them in the newspaper, that was Chris Tyler, Shane Sparks, my cousin DJ. They had a big ass picture of them, man. You know, and the shit they was wearing, the slopes they had, was down in the front. I was like, wow, man. Me and T.ROB looked at each other like, these niggas made the paper, man. You know, they did a big write-up on it. That was what really triggered us hooking up.
I think I remember the first time I was involved with them was in the late 80s, and there was a Kool Moe Dee concert down at the Allison's West End Theater. And at that Allison's West End Theater, they performed and they came on before Cool OD, and that was along with DJ Fresh.